Welcome to Pod Save America. I'm Jon Favreau.
I'm Jon Lovett.
I'm Tommy Vietor.
I'm Dan Pfeiffer.
Welcome to our annual holiday mailbag episode. It's here, guys.
I can't believe it.
It's here. And thanks to everyone who sent in questions via Twitter, Instagram, and of course, our Friends of the Pod Discord.
And threads, bud.
Threads. Well,
Threads of the pod? Is that a thing now?
yeah.
We got some threads.
I just read what's on my script.
I'm just saying. I'm not no criticism. Just also reminding
Just
people
a
about threads.
It is an Instagram
Sure.
thing. But
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, enough of this. Let's get right into it. All right. We got a lot of questions like this one from @Neens23 on Twitter. Are you concerned about Biden's position on the war in Gaza and how this will affect voter turnout, in particular with younger voters?
I am concerned. I think the polling is a little weird and all over the place on this, right? As of recently, there was a CBS poll from early December that showed 38% of Democrats think Biden has shown too much support for Israel, and that's up from 28%. I think that's sort of weird phrasing, though. I don't know what support means.
Kind of got to define that.
Yeah, right. I don't like vague polling. There's also, in that same survey, 26% of Democrats want Biden to support pro-Palestinian protests in the U.S. There was another previous poll, though, that showed Democrats' approval of Biden's handling of the situation in Gaza went up from 50% to 59% right around the ceasefire, I think. So, again, polling's a little all over the place. My concern is more anecdotal. I've had a bunch of conversations with Arab American friends or Muslim American friends who say they're hearing from people that they feel demoralized. They don't know if they can vote. They feel like they were let down based on their support from 2020. So there's pockets of this happening in Michigan that's been highly reported, or swing states like Pennsylvania. So I think it's something that, Biden has time to fix, but he should keep an eye on and be aware of.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say this, like, if you are upset or disappointed or outraged with Joe Biden over Gaza, like, you have every right to feel that way, and I don't think it's very effective, because I've seen this here and there, to tell Muslim Americans or Arab Americans or any Americans who are on the fence about voting for Biden in 24 because of Gaza, like, well, if you don't vote for him, good luck with the Muslim ban. But I also do think it's possible and even reasonable to vote for someone that you are angry with or disappointed with, and I think that because at the end of the day, your vote is not about rewarding or punishing Joe Biden or Donald Trump or really any politician. It's about choosing between two different outcomes that will each have tangible real-life consequences for you and millions of other people. And in a closed country that's 50-50, your vote can be decisive in those outcomes.
Also, don't wait until 2024. You can be active now. Call your congressman.
Yes.
Say, hey, I'm disappointed in the lack of effort to push for a ceasefire or to limit civilian casualties in Gaza. I want you to do more. I want you to urge the administration to do more.
And there is a $14 billion request for aid to Israel that you will ostensibly vote on in the new year. And if tell your Democratic senators, don't vote for that bill if there's no conditions. Don't give Bibi Netanyahu a blank check. That is one way to get involved for sure. Sea Otter Friend asks, this is my favorite part of the mailbag episode.
I do love the names.
Me too.
Too.
So Sea Otter Friend asks, what should one say to swing voters who don't believe democracy is on the line?
Don't tell them democracy is on the line. No, look, democracy is 100% on the line in this election. Donald Trump is being very explicit about what his specific plans are if he gets it into power, whether he says he's going to be a dictator on day one, or all the stories we read about how he's going to weaponize the federal government to reward his friends, protect himself, and punish his enemies. But if we simply make the case, say democracy is on the line, or this could be the end of democracy, that's something that means very little to a lot of people, right? It simply is just saying, here's this political system that most of you think doesn't work very well, and here's this guy who's going to shake it up or destroy it or whatever version they say. So I think, say a few things. One, you should be very specific about the things that Donald Trump is going to do and how it's going to affect your lives. And if you want to make a broader argument, I would spend less time talking about how the threat Donald Trump poses to democracy and more about the threat he poses to people's personal freedoms, right? Whether that is your what books you can read, what healthcare decisions you can make, whether you can access an abortion, whether what access to contraception, who you can love. All of those things are going to be at risk because we have an authoritarian who will not abide by not just norms, but laws when in office.
Unless people don't want to vote in any other elections. Maybe they want this to be the last election they voted.
Yeah.
In which case,
given the tempo of emails from Democrats, that could be appealing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you skip this way, it's like when Homer Simpson's boss said, if you don't come in Friday, don't bother coming in Monday. And he's like, cool, 4-day weekend. Yeah, I do think that I think Republicans, their strength, they go to people and they say, you're not wrong to care about this. Right? Give in to that feeling, that bad feeling that you have, give in to that worst instinct. And I think Democrats, our mirror image of that is less successful, which is you're wrong not to care about that, which is hectoring people into caring about something the same way that we do. And I do think that people are telling us what they care about. Abortion is something they really care about. Access to healthcare is something they really care about. And I don't think we need to mail out copies of How Democracies End by those two professors. I don't think we can get people to read that.
How Democracies Die.
How Democracies Die. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know that mailing copies.
I
of
can
that
correct that, but I cannot tell you the names. Leviton, Stephen something.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Couple of fucking nerds from one of those anti-Semitic institutions up north. I'm not sure
boy.
which one.
Oh boy,
Wow,
coming out hot.
Oh,
it's a great book.
It's a great book. Long on problems, short on solutions. But still pretty good. I like that. They came on Love It or Leave It. They were good. Let's keep it loose.
All right.
I honestly, I really do appreciate you changing the tone from the
Yeah.
top there.
Yeah.
That's better.
There we
Yeah,
go.
great.
All right. This one came from Chelsea Amory. I'm all for backing Biden since this is most likely, but I am genuinely curious if it weren't the case, who would be a good alternative for the Democratic Party? I'm not talking about who was already in the race,
Yeah, we know you're not.
but potential people you would like to see as an option. Okay. That's a fun hypothetical, right? So if Joe Biden wakes up tomorrow and tells us he changed his mind and he isn't running for re-election, which every piece of available evidence says will not happen. But if he does, a bunch of candidates would jump in the race. Kamala Harris, most certainly, probably Gavin Newsom, probably J.B. Pritzker. I do think that the strongest general election candidate would be someone from outside Washington.
Oprah.
One in a swing state.
Rock.
Younger.
Ooh.
Not too lefty. Not too
Swift.
centrist.
Hey, what if they fixed the highway pretty quick?
Not a lot of baggage.
Beyonce.
I land on
Knows his way around a cheesesteak.
Yeah, so Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania,
Tom
definitely
Hanks.
up there. I think Gretchen Whitmer. Gretchen Whitmer is so popular in Michigan, has now won twice, has a great story to tell, state we need. Gretchen Whitmer and Josh Shapiro are those are my two top right now. And I think even though he's a senator, I would also throw Raphael Warnock in there because he's still relatively new to D.C. and he has won twice in a really tough state. Anyway, anyone else got some candidates I want to talk about in this fantasy scenario?
You know who never gets mentioned? Tim Walz over in Minnesota, but they've done a lot of good stuff.
Jared Polis.
Jared Polis.
I think it's time for a gay president.
Pritzker.
Wes
Illinois
Moore
governor.
is going to be great someday. He just was elected governor of Maryland, but Wes Moore is someone to keep an eye on.
Although
as
I'm still
well.
pissed at Jared Polis for backing out of Love It or Leave It last minute. So
Okay,
Jared
well, that's all-
Polis,
that's it.
you're
That's all
off
you
my
have to-
short list.
Back to a serious question for Tommy.
Sorry, guys.
Tyne, another friend of the pod subscriber, asks, with right-wing populists / far-right and outright fascist politicians on the rise in the U.S. and many countries in Europe, but also in South America, do you think there are connected global reasons for their rise?
I think I think the right-wing populism story is a mixed bag. In Poland in October, a right-wing populist lost to a coalition of pro-EU parties. So now you got this guy named Donald Tusk. Remember him?
Yeah.
He's from our days. He was
sure.
he was a former president of the European Council, so like a certified globalist.
It's a rocket ship.
running Poland. Argentina voted for this crazy like right-wing libertarian dude. The Netherlands voted for right-wing populists who just demagogue Muslims. I don't know if they're connected necessarily. I think they're common threads. It's like people who are mad about the economy. They hate elites. They hate the corrupt ruling class. They want to break things or burn it down. They're mad at immigration. They're mad at changing demographics. And usually they find a scapegoat to blame. So I think those are the common elements, the kind of right-wing populist playbook that you have to watch out for. Sounds familiar to one we've seen here.
I also think that because technology has connected us so intimately, unfortunately, on social media and everywhere else, that like some of these movements you can see are copying each other from country to country. And so I think that connects it, as well as, like you said, mass migration that is caused by a whole bunch of different things is definitely challenging a lot of governments. Today's presenting sponsor is Simply Safe Home Security. As we head into the new year, what are you resolving to do differently in 2024? It's a great time to resolve to make your home and family safer than ever. For that, we use and recommend Simply Safe, named the best home security system of 2023 by U.S. News and World Report. Simply Safe is comprehensive protection for the whole home, with advanced sensors that not only detect break-ins, but fires, floods, and other threats to your home, and getting you the help you need. With 24/7 live guard protection, monitoring agents can actually see, speak to, and confront intruders in your home. Available only from Simply Safe to actually stop crime in real time, satisfaction is guaranteed. Try Simply Safe for 60 days risk-free. If you don't love it, you can return your system for a full refund, but the guy next to me says you probably won't.
You probably won't. I set up a Simply Safe system and couldn't believe how easy it was. Couldn't believe how well it worked. Highly recommend it. The app is great. You'll be so glad you had it. So reliable. So dependable.
Keep your home and family safer than ever in the new year. As a listener, you can save 20% on your new system with a Fast Protect plan by visiting simplysafe.com/crooked. Customize your system in just minutes at simplysafe.com/crooked. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Pod Save America is brought to you by Beam. Today, our listeners get a special discount on Beam's Dream Powder, their best-selling healthy hot cocoa for sleep with no added sugar. Now available in delicious seasonal flavors like cinnamon cacao, sea salt caramel, and white chocolate peppermint. Cacao. Better sleep has never tasted better. A recent clinical study revealed Dream helped 93% of users wake up feeling more refreshed, and 93% reported that Dream helped them get a more restful night's sleep.
Out of the 7%, still asleep.
There it is. Just mix Beam Dream into hot water or milk, stir or froth, and enjoy before bedtime. We love Beam Dream.
So good.
Yeah, we froth it, drink it,
and
then
out like
see
a
you next
fucking
week.
light. See you on election day.
If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, take advantage of their biggest sale of the year and get up to 50% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/crooked. Discount auto applied at checkout. No code necessary. That's shop BEAM.com/crooked for up to 50% off. All right. A man and his cat asks, when I hear Democratic politicians talk, they seem quick to pivot to voter hip pocket issues. Hip pocket? I guess that's like kitchen table, pocket,
I think it's
book.
combining pocketbook issues and hip pocketing.
Sure, whatever. Is concentrating on that message still a winning strategy in today's identity politics world? It feels like more food on the table for you and your hardworking family is a folksy and quaint approach nowadays, not meeting the moment. So, the reason you hear so many Democratic politicians talk about economic issues is because that is what the vast majority of Americans care about the most, because the vast majority of Americans, something like 2/3, do not have a college degree and do not make six-figure incomes. And when you talk to these voters about politics, to the extent that they're paying attention, and many of them are not, they care about what politicians are doing to solve their biggest and most immediate concerns, which is their ability to afford the cost of living for themselves and their families. That is not to say that these Americans don't have other concerns. Many of them desperately want access to abortion. They want their kids to feel safe when they go to school. They want to be treated equally under the law. But what they think about all the time, every day, is getting by. And that is true independent of identity, race, gender, sexual orientation, all of it. The sentiment that talking about economic issues is folksy or quaint or soft or not the right strategy is also a common one among certain pundits, a lot of posters, people who are posting on the internet all the time. It's people who are disproportionately, I think, highly educated, relatively well off, and consume a lot of political news. And political news is also consumed with debates around identity and culture. So I do think there is a bubble effect there. But if you go talk to less engaged, less educated, less well-off people, who are most people, and which pollsters do and politicians do and grassroots organizers do, you will absolutely hear a different set of concerns. And that's why Democratic politicians talk about those issues all the time.
Can I give some numbers on that, John?
Yes, please. Please do.
Because the New York Times actually asked voters to whether their vote was going to be more based on a politician's position on social issues, which includes guns, abortion, and democracy. And you could go, the way they word it, it could be because you're a conservative or liberal on those issues, or economic issues like jobs, cost of living, and taxes. And economic issues won 57 to 29, a number that is up 12 points in 4 battleground states since 2022.
And again, it doesn't mean that these voters don't care, like, because you hear a lot of people being like, don't they care that it's the democracy is at risk here? It's like, yeah, they probably would care if they knew about it, but they were working 3 jobs and to try to pay the bills, and didn't really have time to follow all the ins and outs of Donald Trump's like latest crazy moves on whatever, like his latest speech or his latest trial or anything like that. So
it's also there's a reason that abortion, I think, has broken through in a way that some other concerns around democracy haven't. And look, like, you go outside, the birds are chirping. It's not like convincing people that we're on the verge of a dictatorship is very difficult. It just is. But what they do see is the cost of living. What they do experience is like rising housing costs, the fact that, yes, inflation is down, but costs are still higher than they were a year ago, 2 years ago. Like, those are things people see and feel and experience every single day. And I think our job is to have a case that makes people feel heard on those issues, that respects that experience, while at the same time making real for people the threat around abortion, the threat around democracy. We have to do both.
Well, to your point, people also can viscerally see when they can't get an abortion,
Yeah.
right? Because there's no abortion access in the state. They read the news when they see like there's a school shooting in a nearby school, right? So they care about gun violence, but it is issues that actually affect people's lives, and not like esoteric debates that happen on Twitter.
Trump's going to change Schedule F.
Right. Which is bad for a lot of
Yeah, I
people
think
who
it's bad.
lose jobs and who are civil servants.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm not very, I don't think it's good.
All right. JSats23 on Threads asks, what are your news sources? Curious where you get your information and why. Dan?
Crooked Media and only Crooked Media.
There you go. That's it.
No, it is actually really interesting, the world we have come to live in, like in the last year, since Twitter's been broken and other social platforms like Facebook have devalued political news. We're like back to the place where we were like a decade ago, where if you want to go find out what's happening, you have to go to a website or sign up for a newsletter to be delivered into your inbox. Right? The idea that someone is going to deliver the mail to you, deliver the news to your phone, just doesn't exist anymore, right? You cannot just randomly bump into political news anymore. You have to actively seek it out. It has become much harder than it has been since any time I can remember in trying to follow politics.
So where do you get your news from?
Yeah, where do you get your fucking news, Dan?
Why are you ducking the question?
Well, I'm giving it.
So Steve Bannon's War Room.
Steve Bannon's War Room. Anything Ben Shapiro does. No. So all like the big newsletters like Politico Playbook, Punch Bowl, the NBC First Read newsletter, I think can be very useful.
It's a good one.
Some of the New York Times newsletters are very helpful. If you really follow polling, then the Nate Cohn, the Tilt newsletter is very good. A bunch of different Substacks that I follow that help you. They're a little more like issue specific. Like there's a bunch of ones around polling, some around like the legal stuff around Trump. It's a whole bunch of different places. But I will also just in the middle of the day, I will go to the New York Times website, the Washington Post website, and even sometimes, and I hate to admit it, but Politico's website to find out like what has happened during the day, because I can't rely on Twitter to tell me anymore.
Yeah, I think it's actually...
Those are my big three, too.
Yeah, I've noticed in just even the last 6 months, I was like, oh, that's right. Like, it used to be like the osmosis of Twitter. You could feel like you were getting a good range of things. But I think I continued to feel as though that was true, even though it wasn't true for a long time. And fully giving up on Twitter has made me go back to, like, literally just going to the websites like we used to. And, like, I actually think it's better. Like, I think this is certainly a better way to stay. I feel more informed, like, today than I did a couple months ago.
When you go to the landing page of a website, you're not trapped by an algorithm.
Yeah.
Right.
You're forced to see the international section, the business section, like a bunch of things you just never would seek out or would never feed you.
Yeah, it is a better way of getting news. All right, Pete Borkowski, at PeteB93, asks, is Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign the worst/most disappointing in relation to expectations in American history?
Oh,
So I got
one.
some nominees here, and I want to hear from you guys who you
Hell yeah.
aside from DeSantis.
I have some in my mind. Yeah, you go.
Scott Walker, remember Scott Walker?
Yep.
Fred Thompson.
Give a little context on these folks.
Scott Walker, former governor of Wisconsin, ran in the 2016 primary, was mentioned as a top-tier candidate early on in that race, flamed out in September 2015. Fred Thompson, former senator from Tennessee, also movie star.
Hunt for Red October.
Everyone
Anybody?
was like, oh boy, Fred Thompson's going to jump in the 2008 race. This is going to be a big thing.
Great voice, too.
Great voice in a lot of ads for catheters or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Reverse mortgages.
reverse mortgages. Yeah, something
right.
like that. Ended up not winning, not doing well at all in the early states, and dropped out in early 2008. Wes Clark.
That was mine.
Former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO.
Great title.
Best title in the biz, I think.
Yeah, I think Supreme Allied Commander. That's pretty good.
He was going to shake up the
Eisenhower,
2004 Democratic primary by jumping in.
Wore a sweater, fucked up a question on Iraq. He was out.
He forgot.
That was it.
He was on his plane. A reporter started asking him questions about Iraq. He forgot his position and then screamed his press secretary's name and called for help.
Mary,
help.
Help, Mary. Help, Mary. So that was that for Wes Clark. That was it for Wes Clark. Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush. 2016, the front runner the whole time, and just
$100 million.
$100 million. Yeah, it just didn't go anywhere. Please clap.
This is me lighting it on fire.
Please clap. What about Marco Rubio? Same year, also got a cover of Time magazine. Is he the great savior of the Republican Party?
He didn't flame out as hard. He did not. I mean, he didn't do as well as Ted Cruz, but
he ended his campaign by losing a insult contest with Donald Trump about penis size, and then cried because he was so concerned about Donald Trump having access to our nuclear arsenal, and then endorsed Donald Trump like 3 months later.
Okay, you're right. He also still hasn't, to this day, he still refuses to say that Donald Trump can be trusted with nuclear weapons. So his position to this day remains Donald Trump cannot be trusted with the nuclear codes. I would like him to have them anyway. That is his position.
I got one more, and this might seem strange to you youngins, but Rudy Giuliani in 2008 was the front runner most of the race in the Republican primary. He decided he had an interesting strategy of not focusing at all on the early states. He was gonna go right to Florida because that had more delegates. And then by the time, so he skipped all the early states, did not do well on them, and then came in third in Florida and dropped out after like a whole year of leading the national polls.
I would say that flame out makes a lot more sense now that we know him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that flame out came hard earned at the bottom of a traveler of booze.
But it's hard to think about this now because of who Rudy is now, as he's in a trial today for defamation. But like after 9/11, America's mayor, one of the most popular politicians in the country, obviously Bush wins in 2004, but then they're like, oh, the next Republican president, that's going to be Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, it was interesting. Didn't do the flame out. And then it also just sort of, because if you go back, like other primaries were like more consistent, but Rudy kind of like John McCain coming up the rear,
Anyway, does anyone have a favorite? Who do you think's the biggest flame out? You guys have a winner from that list?
Oh man, that's a really good list. Dan, what do you got?
I think it has to be Jeb Bush from your list, because a lot of these other people were, came in, like the Fred Thompson, Wes Clark, were just kind of like these larks that happened late in the race where people got kind of desperate. We are leaving out Ed Muskie, who was overwhelming favorite, who then possibly shed a tear in New Hampshire, and then his campaign ended.
Mm-hmm. Unlike Hillary Clinton, who shed a tear in New Hampshire.
Gary Hart was the one I was going to say.
Gary Hart.
It sounds ridiculous saying it out loud, but Rick Perry was pretty highly regarded going into 2012.
That's who I
I don't want to.
Good one. Good one.
John, we both were speaking. I don't want to gloss over the fact that you said Hillary Clinton shed a tear and then vroom. I heard it.
Good. Thank
she just didn't want to see us fall backwards, John.
She just.
That was good stuff.
Obama for not getting the public option.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just channeling my inner.
Your inner who? Who's in there, buddy?
My inner lefty podcast.
I think you're likable enough.
Good question.
Boo. Okay. Tommy.
Yeah.
We have one from Ryan Whitledge on Twitter. Tommy and Dan, they both want you to do they want to hear some sports commentary.
Ugh.
Yes.
First for Tommy, let's have an honest chat about the future of Bill Belichick. Is he still the coach of the Pats after this season?
The New England Patriots.
I know who it is. It's the guy that cheats and then everyone's like, it's fine.
113 million people watch the Super Bowl, and this guy treats these conversations like we're some niche hobby we got over here. Tell me more about your fucking Elden Ring, Bill.
I love when Tommy goes on this. It's great.
All right. Yeah, you love football. What a guy's guy. Let's hear it. I'm not like the other girls. Let's go. All right. Something about Bill Belichick. What do you got to say about him?
Here's a way to bring you in.
I don't want to be brought in. Just answer the fucking question.
Look. I'm going to build bridges here. Politico, you love Politico. They reported the Patriots are so bad that Republican candidates are finally allowed to campaign in New Hampshire during Patriots games this news
I
cycle.
love that story.
Wow.
That's
That's
fun.
interesting.
It's a sad
Because
but
the
funny
Patriots
story.
are 3-10. We're worse than the Jets. I think Bill Belichick should get another year. We made some bad choices in the draft. Shouldn't have hired a defensive coordinator to be your offensive coordinator. That was probably a mistake. It's weird that he hired his son to be a coach.
Nepo baby?
Yeah, he's got a Nepo baby on staff, yeah.
As
But-
you know, I do not follow the Patriots as closely as you do, but I just saw before we started recording that Tom Curran, who is
Excellent sports reporter.
excellent sports reporter for a local NBC affiliate in Boston, he says that the decision has been made that Belichick's going to be out for this is the last season.
Well, so the flip side is he's the best coach of all time. He's 71 years old. He's
Don't
the
cry
longest
because it's
tenured.
over. Laugh because it happened.
Yeah,
I mean,
Super
nine
Bowls.
Super Bowl appearances, 6 Super Bowls.
It's a
That
lot.
makes me sad. I
That's
didn't
a
know
ton
that.
of
It's the
them.
most ever.
Most ever. Wow.
for an NFL coach. Anyway, we'll
Thus-
see. Maybe
thus
it's
ends
still an early report.
Sports talk.
No,
By the time people hear
no.
this podcast, we'll know.
Yeah, well,
whether
that's
it's true or
right.
not.
You'll all know by now. And in the pursuit of fairness, what are Dan's thoughts on the eventual banning of the Tush Push? And then it says in parentheses, Lovett's commentary welcome as well.
Okay. Dan, what do you think about the Tush Push?
This is part of the freedom agenda I was discussing earlier.
Oh, boy.
What? But what is?
Which I could.
Yeah. What is the
The
Tush Push?
The Tush Push, otherwise known as the brotherly shove, is
Whoa.
a play the
Hey, not
Philadelphia
better.
Eagles do. Yeah, I'm just telling you what it is. The Philadelphia Eagles do, where the offensive line and the running backs all just push the quarterback over into the end zone or to get the first down.
Short yardage
And the-
situations.
Oh, so it's like okay, I
Yeah.
see. And it's not allowed.
And it is allowed. The NFL thought of banning it. No one's ever done it before successfully. The Eagles did last season. They thought they would ban it. They didn't. I'm being asked this question because people assume fairly that I am an Eagles fan because I grew up near Philly and I'm a Philly fan of everything else. But that's not actually the case. I'm actually a Washington Commanders fan.
Is that why people throw batteries at you when we're in Philly?
That's
That is.
that's my 2016 election takes. But
So basically like it's kind of like the football equivalent of putting a sumo wrestler in the hockey goal. They like
Yes.
they just
Yes.
they just even though they're kind of being tackled, they're being pushed from behind and just sort of forcing through. That's cool. How can you ban that?
Yeah, can I ask
That's
what,
cool
why,
as hell.
why do they want to ban the Tush Push?
because it's seen as an unfair advantage. I think they should not ban it. And the reason that people are paying even more attention to it is the reason why Philadelphia can do it and no one else can is because the center for the Philadelphia Eagles is Jason Kelsey, Travis Kelsey's brother.
And they
And
have
now a huge podcast
a
star.
huge podcaster. We got to take that fucker down. And their quarterback, Jalen Hurts, is super athletic and strong and just a badass who can run people over. Yeah.
So the Tush Push is available to everyone because it's America. But the Eagles because these are people that know how to climb a greasy pole. Like they figure, you know, they're people from Philadelphia. They're
Brotherly
animals.
shove.
They're fucking
Yeah, you could
monsters.
you could come up with a name for it for every city. You know?
Yeah, you could, and I will.
I was gonna say
okay.
you keep thinking while we're doing the rest of the questions.
Tush Push.
It's fun to say.
Buy me dinner first, Philadelphia. You know what I'm saying?
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Whether or not your family gives gifts during the holidays, you get to define how you give to yourself. And the holidays are a great time to do that. So whether it's by starting therapy, going easier on yourself during the tough moments, starting therapy, or treating yourself to a complete day of rest or starting therapy, remember to give yourself some love this holiday season. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. In the season of giving, give yourself what you need with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/PSA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/PSA. Pod Save America is brought to you by GiveWell. Have you ever wondered where your donation could have the most impact? GiveWell has now spent over 15 years researching charitable organizations and only directs funding to a few of the highest impact opportunities they found in global health and poverty alleviation. Over 100,000 donors have used GiveWell to donate more than $1 billion Rigorous evidence suggests that these donations will save over 150,000 lives and improve the lives of millions more. GiveWell wants as many donors as possible to make informed decisions about high-impact giving. You can find all of their research and recommendations on their site for free. You can make tax-deductible donations to their recommended funds or charities, and GiveWell doesn't take a cut. If you've never donated through GiveWell before, you can have your donation matched up to $100 before the end of the year, or as long as matching funds last. To claim your match, go to givewell.org and pick podcast and enter Pod Save America at checkout. Make sure they know that you heard about GiveWell from Pod Save America to get your donation matched. Again, that's givewell.org to donate or find out more. Okay, another question for Dan from Marcus Lang. Dan, what have been some of your favorite music releases of 2023? This question is for everyone, but I think my music tastes are more aligned with Dan than the rest of the guys. Okay, Marcus.
Yeah, sorry, Marcus.
Sent from Margaritaville.
I'm assuming this is a hip hop related question because I generally listen probably to more hip hop than you guys do.
Yeah.
And I would say that this is the year I've been trying mightily to outpace my age and stay very current on hip hop, but that became impossible this year. But there are two albums that came out this year that I very much like. One is by a rapper called No Name, who's a Chicago rapper and poet who sort of became famous many years ago by being on Chance the Rapper's mixtape. And she has an incredible album that came out this year. And then Black Thought from the Roots has a soul album this year that's excellent. I wish I could say that I was really into Andre 3000's Flute album, but I can't make myself do that.
Not doing the flute thing.
All right.
Has the Young Thug trial gotten you into any of his songs, music? The whole YSL?
I have listened to a fair amount of Young Thug in my life, but I have not. His involvement in Orico has not made it more appealing to me.
Dan, what did you think of the latest Drake album?
Not a fan.
Yeah, I tried to, and I was like, it's just a little too slow for me.
Yeah, I feel like that he's missed his moment.
Yeah. Anyone else have any music releases they'd like to tout?
I'm listening to a lot of Ethel Cain. Our music taste is very different. Basically sort of somebody who's upset and non-binary, like that's what Spotify's going to show me a fair amount of.
Cool.
That's a lot of it. So yeah, I've been listening. Ethel Cain really rising.
Well, next question is we're really moving into recommendations territory here. Some Gold Can Stay on Instagram asks, what are you reading or watching, or in Lovett's case, playing?
So I just watched Leave the World Behind, the Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali movie, and I think it's excellent. I've really liked it.
Emily loved it too.
I'm not playing anything yet, but over the break, I plan to play Tears of the Kingdom, The Lies of P, and Baldur's Gate, the new Baldur's Gate. I don't know which order I'm going to play them in, but I'm very excited to finally have some time because I've just been on the road the last couple of months, and like gaming is like, it is the reading of looking at a screen. You know what I mean? In the sense that like you need a lot of time, you got to get into it. You can't just do it here and there. You got to really commit.
Okay.
Is that did the Obamas produce Leave the World Behind?
They did.
They did. Why I don't know, but they certainly did. It says Higher Ground on it.
Yeah. And they were both posting about it.
I guess it is sort of. I guess there is a logic to the kind of spirit of the film, I suppose, in the end.
Dan, what about you?
As related, I don't know whether people hear this before they hear our New Year's resolution episode, but one of my New Year's resolution was to improve my attention span, and one way in which I'll do that is get back to reading as much as I used to do, because this was not a good reading year. But one set of books that I think are excellent, I recommend to everyone, are the crime novels by S.A. Cosby, who writes about crime in the South, usually in the Virginia area. He's a black guy. It's a very different than your typical crime noir. He has three. All the Sinners Bleed is the one that came out this year.
Oh yeah,
excellent.
Watch anything good? What you're always our any good reality shows that you're watching?
I spent a lot of my 2023 catching up to Scandival on Vanderpump Rules. It's a decision I definitely do not regret in any way, shape, or form. It made this otherwise tough year great. That sort of reality TV stuff. I've been trying to think of like what was really good that I watched this year. I mean, obviously we all watched Succession.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
I know. I miss having
The Diplomat. I found very enjoyable as a Netflix show.
Yeah,
it
I
works.
got through a couple episodes of that.
I could see just Tommy being very angry at how
the lack of
absurd
realism.
it is the lack of realism, and the British ambassador also being a spy.
Or being in charge of anything.
Ooh, tough hit.
Well, the U.S. ambassador to the U.K. is generally not running all foreign policy or prepared to be the vice president. Spoiler.
Or a former CIA.
But I've been reading The 90s by Chuck Klosterman. It's a recent book that's out. It's very good. Also, I was listening to some Noah Kahn. He had a great new album out this year. What else? Watching, though, the latest season of Dave was good. Was that this year or last year?
Oh, that's a good one. That was great.
It's great to watch.
So I'm watching The Curse with Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone. And the first couple episodes, I was like, what is going on here? And now I'm like 6 episodes in, and I love it. I think it's really good.
I'm going through. I think The Curse is excellent. I'm going slowly, in part because it's such an intense watch, and also like I just feel like there's so much prestige content that I like want to respect it enough to not binge it. Like the fact that like a Julia Roberts movie directed by Sam Esmail, who I love, just like pops up one day. Or like there's a David Fincher movie with Michael Fassbender in it, and I like can't get myself to hit play on it. A new Fincher movie?
There needs to be better curation of like the real good stuff that's out there, because it is now impossible to find.
You want like a home box office where it's all on.
Because they've all decided to be like fucking Netflix now, and so if you go to the Max app, you're just like swimming through shit, you know?
Yeah.
Same thing with Netflix now. Same thing with Paramount Plus, which is now Showtime's going away. Now it's all gonna be Paramount Plus. This sucks. This new world. Like someone needs to tell us like what's the great new stuff that's out there now.
What if someone started a publication called the TV Guide? You could go there to
Seriously,
find out what was
we
airing
get back
and
to the
where.
TV Guide.
Yeah, I used to like my Entertainment Weekly, you know, and then it was like it's still calling it that, but it's monthly, and they're like it's nothing now. Now it's nothing.
I'm sorry.
I have nothing.
I love Nathan for You, but The Curse, it feels like it's going to make me feel so awkward that I'm not going to get through it.
It gets weirdly enough, it gets less awkward and funnier as it goes. I think, and it's like a real satire on just a lot of things.
One book I read this year was Termination Shock, which I really recommend. By Neil Stephenson. I love Neil Stephenson, and it's everything I wanted Ministry of the Future to be. You know, that's all.
I just finished Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Fantastic book. Yeah, you can read it in one sitting. It's great. It's fun. There's a follow-up question here from it's a similar question from Veroska Korea, who says. At Jon Favs always says he does not read any books, even making it his New Year resolution to read at least one book per month. However, when he interviews guests that have written a book, which happens quite often, he always seems to have read them. Has he?
Have you?
Well, Vera,
Have you?
yes, I have.
Wow, I get some
Yes,
knowing.
I have.
Oh, you've read them all? That's
Mouths
amazing.
covered on the couch over
this
there.
is
That's
knowing
so
especially-
impressive.
This is especially an offline thing,
Yeah.
and I remember
Read them
before
all.
offline,
Every word.
when my friend Tommy would interview people who've written books, and he's always like, "Oh, I'm reading the whole book."
Don't drag
and
me
I was
into
like,
your lie.
"How are you reading this whole book?" And he does. But when you do it, like for Pod Save America, maybe you can get away with it because it's like a 15, 20-minute interview. On offline, it's like I'm talking to them for 45 minutes. Of course, I have to read the book. So I read all the offline guest books. And they're
You never kind of thumb a few pages ahead.
You never
Well,
do
they
like a chapter.
TikTok.
Doppelganger by Naomi Klein just read. Comedy book, Jesse David Fox was great. Democracy Awakening, Heather Cox Richardson.
I was just naming books.
Stolen Focus, Johan Harry.
Yeah, we know you know about books.
Moby Dick.
You can listen to the episodes. Anyway, I do that. All right. Love it. Here's a question for you from Twitter user Baltiner Dist. Question for Jon Lovett. My primary care physician, with no prompting, suggested I too go on experimental pancreas medicine. Now that your pancreas is well treated, would you recommend it to others?
So if I've said one thing on this show, I think you all know I'm not a doctor.
It's true.
All I will tell you is why did I decide to go on Manjaro? Because I felt bad about how often I was failing to eat well and in a way where I didn't feel guilty all the time. So I decided to try this thing because they give you a coupon, like a drug dealer outside of school. They give you a deal on the first one. And
I didn't know that.
you didn't know drug dealers give you a deal on the first one?
Coupon for the pancreas.
Yeah, there's coupons. There's
one free
coupons out there.
pancreas.
There's
Buy one, get one free.
There's coupons. There's coupons out there.
Lowly.
And I look, I've yo-yoed for a long time, and I've lost 20, 30 pounds before, but I've never done it without having to fight tooth and nail for every inch. It came really easily. And the thing that's amazing about it is, it's not, obviously I've lost weight, great, but the way it stops the food noise in your brain and the way it has changed like my relationship to food. Like the first time after I took Manjaro and I went out for sushi and I had like one sushi roll with my friend and I felt really full, I realized I felt guilty. And I was like, wait, you feel guilty every time you're full. You don't need to do that, because being guilty, being worried that you're eating too much or not taking care of yourself or that you're not achieving your goals, whatever, doesn't need to be connected to the feeling of being full anymore. And once those things separated, that changed my whole fucking life. I'm driving slower out there. I am. I'm like, there's like extra discipline for other things, maybe for both of you.
Yeah, I was gonna say where
you
has
see
that,
it. If you
where
if
has
you
the
thought,
where have
if
you seen that discipline?
I
Are
knew
you
that's,
driving
that's
slower
the
because you're not
what
going to the rest
no
of
because
food?
I think because like my mind is not.
What are you saying?
I'm spending less energy on the discipline of not eating and worrying about exercise and diet, and so on the whole, I'm a less impulsive and less sort of undisciplined and procrastinating person.
Yeah,
maybe
no,
subtly.
I've definitely
you could say,
experienced that.
listen, I'm not looking. I don't need you to see it. All right, I need Dan to see it.
Two of us did write a book with you.
Yeah.
Over the last several
Yeah, and you know what? Is it done? You know what? What
True.
world we'd be living in?
It's
true. Yeah.
Remember when I would like work and get it to you over those weekends? Remember what it would be like before that? There's no fucking book if I'm not on this medicine. Anyway, do whatever your doctor says. Don't take advice. Don't take advice from me. I'm an insecure and in vain Hollywood person.
I love the way you phased the rollout of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Because you would sort of allude to it early
in like the
on.
middle of like the fourth ad in a Pod Save America.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
just like drop it in.
I soft launched it. I soft launched
It
it.
went well. You traveled it.
Anyway, yeah. All I'll say is, you can pry it from my cold, dead fucking hands.
I
I don't care how many diabetics can't access it. I'm getting it first.
Oh my god.
It's not. Get behind me. Get in line behind me, diabetics. I need my tummy medicine.
All right, we do have another question about your relationship with food.
Oh, good.
A Culfin2 on Instagram asks, "Love it. Are you an applesauce, sour cream, or a combo person for your latkes?"
Combo. I like both. A little bit of both. Little bit of the sour cream, a little bit of sweet. It's great. Also, although sometimes what I'll do is take a latke, put some sour cream on top, put some smoked salmon on that bad boy, throw some lox on top.
Wow.
You got yourself a sandwich.
Okay.
We've there's like a little Laka song that we sing to Lizette that has like certain hand motions about you like peel them, roll it, pat it.
Yeah.
She gets super into it.
That's
I like
cute.
the Jewish energy.
Yeah.
I like that. We got another one. Put her in the book.
Future college president. All right. Last question is from Kyle Man Chest Hair
Yep. Yeah, it is.
on Instagram, who asks, "Best holiday food, Thanksgiving or Christmas?" All right, everyone. Dan, you wanted to answer this question, so what do you think?
Well, I am in charge of cooking Christmas dinner this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I Googled options. And here's the trick of this question. Literally anything can be Christmas dinner.
Yeah, that is true.
You want to do a roast, you want to do a ham, you want to do lasagna, meatballs, lamb, you can do anything. So I love Thanksgiving. It is one of my favorite meals of the year. So much so that we have it Friendsgiving, Thanksgiving, a lot of turkey and stuffing in November. But how can you go against a holiday where you can have anything you want?
Get yourself a spiral cut ham.
I want to talk about ham.
It's a big haka ham. It's pre-cooked for you, and then someone dumps sugar all over the
See,
outside.
that's what we do growing up for Christmas, and
good
I loved
combo.
it. Christmas, that was their Christmas day. It was the spiral ham.
I didn't try. As a Jewish American, I remember the first time ham to me existed as like a lunch meat, like an Oscar Mayer thing that would be a sandwich. And I remember seeing
Like deli cut ham.
Deli cut ham, and I remember seeing in film and like cartoons that there was such a thing as like a baked honey ham. But I didn't try it. I remember it was a Hillary Clinton holiday party. So I was a full-blown adult. I'd literally never had it. For the first time, I had honey-baked ham, a spiral-cut ham, I believe. And I was like, I tasted it. I could not believe that you Goyish maniacs are calling this incredibly salty, sweet thing an entree. An entree. The idea of taking
Did you think it was like an appetizer or a dessert?
No, I knew that you were describing it as an entree. I just assumed it would. I just couldn't believe how much salty, sweet that this thing was bringing to the table. Like, you have a couple bites, I feel like you got to take a nap.
It's a big Easter day food too. You gotta have some ham on Easter.
The saltiness.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's very salty.
But you don't do any other. That's not like it's not like you take a bite of turkey and you're like you got to drink a glass of water.
No,
it's not like
in fact,
it's just a
sometimes
special entree.
Sometimes it's just a little too dry. the
Right,
turkey.
but the honey baked ham, the
Yeah.
spiral cut ham,
So good.
wild.
I will say though, despite the fact that you can have anything you want, that's partly why I think I like Thanksgiving better. Is because with Thanksgiving, you know what you're getting and you can look forward to the meal because you know
You're
the meal
forced to suffer
Yeah,
and
dep-
eat turkey.
well,
Well, like a
depending
haiku,
on-
it provides a creative bound.
But for Christmas, it's depending on
So-
where you go and what they decide to cook. So you don't know what you're getting. So you could get something great, or you could get something shitty if you go to your random aunt's house and they decide to make something terrible.
I love Christmas.
Well, you got to get better ants.
You go to Benihana, and you have a great fucking time.
Benihana.
That you can go to Benihana on Christmas. That's the beauty of it. You can go, and that's a great night. That's a great night. Do you look around the room?
You know what? If Emily hasn't had the baby yet, maybe we will go to Benihana. on
There's,
Christmas Eve. That's a
I'd
good
like to see
idea.
the college president say that there.
There's a great TikTok.
Come to
I s-
Benihana on Christmas. Say it there. You won't, because it's filled with Jews.
There's a great TikTok I saw recently of a dude at a Benihana dinner, and he brought a bunch of tortillas and he threw them onto the
Yeah, I
fire.
saw that.
And I was like, that is fucking genius.
He brought his own tortillas.
Benihana in a tortilla must be so good.
Well, I hope everyone enjoys their Benihana Christmas.
Thank you,
Or
John.
Hanukkah. Or just going to Benihana just for fun.
Benihana.
I'm going
Bring
to-
your tortillas.
I'm going with Elise Stefanik.
Benny Hanukkah.
Nice.
Thanks. Had to say it twice.
That's great. Happy holidays, everyone. And we'll talk to you in the new year.